Okay. Oh, welcome, Jens. Um, so I wanted to jump in. This is the we're talking about the Jung types, and last the last time we met, um, it kind of veered off. It it veered off a little bit because we had Jens first show up, and Carol Shumate. And I wanted to, I don't have my usual background because I wanted to show you his book and both of them. And thanks for being here, Chance. Um, but that what he's done, I mean, he's the expert in the classic type, the classic analysis of the Jungian types with characterology, with handwriting. So it's very exciting to me. It's very exciting. And then Carol Shumate was she's a analytical psychologist, professor, and she teaches both the therapists, and then she also teaches uh, kind of graduate scholars at Pacifica Institute in California. That's like uh, all about Jung and archetypes and stuff like that. So I wanted to, we focused on that, and I got it recorded because it really showed the range of the vibrancy of Jungian type today, that it's not something that's like 100 years old and now we're trying to rediscover it or something. It's going on now. It's continuing. It's a huge, there's debates, there's research, there's all kinds of stuff. The third area, so we got the graphology, we got the clinical, and then the third area is the Myers-Briggs. That's about the test, the psychometric. And I've been trying to get myself re-educated on that. That's the one people may be most familiar with, sort of, more or less. It's popular, and I learned it in graduate school and did some courses, extra courses, but I knew nothing. I really absolutely knew nothing, and I've been like, there's a lot that's been going on, and we'll get into that later. But the main thing is to realize that there's these three areas, and that's what makes it so um, like the um, it's not limited to like one kind of school. So when you have three different kinds of school that are all studying the same thing, you have exciting conversations and debates and work, you know, and it's thrilling. Anyway, uh, the there's two things I want to get through today, and one of them is I want to have you all be able to, each of you, kind of share what you know or don't know, or what you've heard. You know, even if you may not know anything, you've probably heard something about the Jungian type. So I want to have some time with that. But be, before we get to that, I want to go over the handout because I did it last week, but it was after the hour was over. So I wanted to make sure you all could follow what was going on in the handout, the instructions, and the kind of the assessment thing, those two pieces. And that's two parts of the agenda. So let me go to sharing this. Um, does anyone have any questions? Um, or comments? and go ahead and jump in. I'll type. Okay. I'm gonna skip the agenda. We're gonna go over the instruction guide. Okay. We'll start with because that's kind of that's the thing I want us to be able to, okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, can everybody see this instruction guide, find your type on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
And you should have a copy. Let's see. And Lauren, you may have the old copy, so it may look a little bit different, but you've got the main pieces here. That's this table. Okay. So it's really straightforward what this is. This comes out of Carol Shumate's book, out of her tables in the back of her book. And what she has a very interesting way as a clinician. She observed certain kind of presenting, the way the person presented themselves, and including body language. So what this is she identified between the judging and the perceiving characteristics of the Jungian type, of the Jungian model. And using these, just from what you observe about a person. So this is actually really fun. I've done it with cab drivers, when you're driving down. I mean, I literally have. I've talked with them, and then I've identified their type based upon, things I notice about them and what they're talking about, how they're talking about themselves. And it's probably more accurate with extroverts, because that's what you see more. But it really is fun. So here, the judging type, you're looking at what their appearances, and that's why, if you notice, this closed-minded is in parentheses, because they appear closed-minded. It's sort of like how they're presenting themselves. And so you have to realize that these are like more of externalized characteristics, and you'll see why that is kind of in a bit. Whereas the perceiving, it's this distinctive differences between them. See, between the certain versus tentative, the organized versus disorganized, the goal-oriented versus the process-oriented, the conclusive versus the open-ended, focus versus extended, and closed-minded versus open-minded. Okay, and remember, this is just what they look like, like how they appear or how they're presenting themselves. How they really are requires a more kind of a deeper layer of characterology analysis, to kind of go behind how they're presenting themselves or how it shows up. And that's why, so these things with the body language are really fascinating, in terms of like their movement, the gestures, the judging type being like the symmetrical gesture versus the asymmetrical, the continuous movement. As a perceiving type, I don't stop moving. You can kind of see this. See, the random movements, yes. In the perceiving type, whereas the judging type has intentional movements. Is this making sense to you all?
Yeah.
So you're using this, you use this table to make a choice of, are they more on the perceiving side or are they more on the judging side? Okay. Once you have kind of got that, then the next step comes. Okay. And by the way, this is kind of cute because what I noticed, can you tell which handwriting, based upon what you've seen in the two tables, which handwriting would be the judging, and which handwriting would be the perceiving?
Perceiving.
Can you see?
The judging would be the top one.
Yes.
Yeah. It's immediately obvious. You know, now it's not always easy to tell whether the handwriting is more regular or more irregular sometimes. And that has to do with more mature development of the character. The people that are more mature tend to have there's other functions that have developed. The individuation causes complexity in this, but if it's kind of, for younger people, this is usually pretty obvious. So, but just to know, you're not always going to have such a clear immediate recognition in the handwriting. It may take a little bit more study. We'll get into the handwriting aspect in next month. Okay, but I wanted to start with just these general characteristics so you could be doing people watching and making decisions. So once you've decided, okay, this person is more judging or this person is more perceiving, then you stay under that column, okay? And there's going to be 4 what's called function attitudes underneath the column. Okay, so let's take the left column, say it's more judging, and let's take a look here. So what you have here is you're going to have the introverted sensing. The symbol is that SI. Okay, and those characteristics, you're going to have introverted intuition. That's supposed to be a small I. It didn't work right there. Capital N, small I. And then extroverted thinking, capital T, little I, and extroverted feeling, FE. So what you do with this is, the first step is you decide, okay, it's more towards the judgy. Okay, then you go and you're going to look over these 4 function attitudes and the characteristics of them and make a decision about which are the 2 that are seem to be related to, closest to this person. Okay, characteristic. So you're looking at these characteristics to pick out 2 of them, 2 out of those 4. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's basically it. If it's a perceiving type, you do, on the other hand, on the right hand side, see, and you go through the 4 function attitudes here. In this case, notice it was introverted sensing for the judging. It's extroverted sensing for the perceiving. It's extroverted intuition. That should be a small e, capital N, small e. I'm gonna have to fix this. I'll have to send you guys out another update. And then introverted thinking, TI, okay, and introverted feeling. Can you guys see what the difference is between the judging type based upon function and the perceiving type?
Excuse me, Victor. I'm a little confused
Okay,
here
no, go
because
ahead. Yeah.
yeah, from what I remember when I studied the Jungian types with handwriting, I had associated the judging with thinking and feeling, and perceiving with intuition and sensation. So
Yes. Yes.
I don't understand.
Yes. This is a good question. And believe me, it took me a while to get onto this because I had learned it that way too.
Okay.
Okay. So let me help for those that kind of relate judging to rational, the rational functions.
Yeah.
Okay. And actually this is a very good question. So the rational functions are like what you were saying, the thinking and the feeling, okay, related to, you were saying the judging, right? So let's take a look. What's going on to the rational functions? Let's see, thinking and feeling. What's going on with them?
They're extroverted.
Yes. Okay. So what do you think? What do you think the perceiving?
So are we saying that if it's extroverted on one side, it's introverted on the other?
Well,
the opposite side.
Okay. This is true, but what I'm talking about now, what she brought up is that in the Myers-Briggs and in the handwriting, you know, in the Jungian type theory relates to the Jungian-Briggs theory relates judging to an extroverted rational function. Okay. An extroverted rational function in that's I'll show you in a minute, that's in either the dominant or the auxiliary position, you know, position 1 or position 2. I've got a little chart, we'll look at that in a minute. Okay, so what do you think the perceiving what would be what do you think the perceiving function attitude, what defines that? What would define that? Okay, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So the perceiving type, they have an extroverted sensation or an extroverted intuition. So the irrational function is extroverted in the perceiving type. Okay, is that making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. For those who learned this, and in fact that really does define it, think about it a minute. It's the extroverted function that is facing the world.
Yes.
And so therefore, that's going to be what shows up as people see this as their personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why there's other functions that may not be so apparent. okay, or and introverted functions may not be so obvious, you know, like the characteristics. And that's why I'm saying this is about identifying that presentation. Is that making sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the what we have here is the because it's going to be the extroverted irrational function for the perceiving, let me get on the correct side, extroverted irrational, which is sensing or intuition. On the judging side, because let me show you something first, for especially for those that don't know this. So on this page, we're talking about how you arrange these function attitudes. And we're looking at the dominant function attitude we put here in the first position at the top of this cross. And the second, our auxiliary function attitude, we put here to the right. Okay. So when we're talking about that you're selecting two out of four of these, okay? You're going to be selecting two of the perceiving functions, two of these out of the four. It's because you're looking for the dominant and the auxiliary function attitudes. And it would usually show up, you know, like when you do this step by step, you'll see that, well, it's going to be like that intuition or that sensing is going to be one of them, and then one of the others is going to be one of them.
Mhm.
See, so then you're going to have the extroverted and an introverted function, you know, function attitude. So now listen carefully. This is where don't make it too complicated. Okay. The main thing we're thinking about, there's an extroverted irrational function, the sensing or intuition, extroverted. It's going to be either here or here. That's it. That defines it. The other one's going to be an introverted rational function. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you separate this out like this, see, this is the thing. Okay, I love the Enneagram, but I can't remember things past 4. Okay, when I'm trying to figure something out, 2 is great. If I can deal with 2 things, that's awesome. 4 things, okay, it's getting that's about as far as I can go. To keep it simple, this is the idea. And that's what makes this so elegant. You know, when you get it, you're looking at a function attitude means that the function is associated with its orientation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's really only 4 functions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at, in this case, there's going to be, when you add the attitude to the function, there's 8 function attitudes, okay?
Yeah.
Because one negative, you know, one extrovert one introvert, okay? And then this divides it back up into how they would be arranged to help you get a good guess of the type. So it's like a decision-making process, okay? And I'll tell you what, this has really helped me when I've been looking at the handwriting, because I look at the function, you know, what's going on function-wise in the handwriting, and then the orientation becomes clear. There's some tricks to that. We'll get into that next month. But because I'm only looking for, you know, like I'm keeping it as simple as possible and trying to keep 4 things to look at, possibly even just 2 things to look at a time. Then I'm working on this decision. And it really helps me in figuring it out. See, so the beauty of this is that it's not about the handwriting. It's about the characteristics, the presenting characteristics, how they appear. And by working with that, you know, you can work backwards to the handwriting, and it's sort of like you don't lose sight that there's actually a person here that you're trying to figure out this function, attitude, configuration, the 2. Any questions?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I've only just read. Well, I'm just reading it now. I'm new to most of it. Do you have to be completely? Does person have to be completely judging, completely perceiving, or can you get somebody who is a mixture? Like, is it a simple question of which column do you put them in, or can you have a hybrid?
Oh, definitely. You can have hybrids.
So you could have somebody with introverted sensing and.
No, this is the piece. This is the piece. Okay. We're looking at only position 1 and position 2. Okay. So you're only going to have.
Just going to be on the same.
Yeah, you're only going to have the one or the other. So you're not going to have it cross.
No.
Okay.
No.
Later, we'll get into position 3 and 4 and individuation, and that leads to complications. But don't make this complicated. We're just looking at kind of the basic way of making a decision about this. And when it's difficult to decide, it's usually because the tertiary function has become more developed.
Oh, right, yes.
But then this gives you that kind of that hint, because you've worked with just deciding. Like I said, you're deciding 2 things that it, you know, is it this or that? Is it this or that? Is it this or that?
Right.
So it's
first and second.
Yeah, it's a decision-making process. It's about how they appear. It's their personality, you know, their presenting self and their appearance, what impression they're making on you. That's what the clinician does. See, the person sitting in front of you, and you know this, Anne.
That will always be clear. It'll be clear to you that they're a judging type. You won't think, well, this person is partially a judging type, but also partially a perceiving type. You know.
No, it's going to be one or the other.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So can I just
be difficult. Sometime it'll be difficult to determine which way. And this is the thing. Just a second, I'll get back to you. This is the thing. In the Myers-Briggs assessment, it's very slight. You know, it's not like a high score that is needed. You can have a very slight difference. It's about a slight preferential difference. See? Yeah. And so you're looking for that. That's sufficient.
All right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What was?
So I was just saying again, I'm talking about the extroverted, introverted,
Uh-huh.
because we're all on a continuum anyway. So at what point does the opposite, is that the third or the fourth, or can that be?
Okay. Typically what's going to happen here is you're going to have if you've got an extroverted function in your dominant position, remember, see, this is the theory that's so brilliant. It's bipolar and opposite. Now, Jens, I kind of agree with you. This is still discussion because it's true about the dominant and the inferior. See, that you have the two, like if this is a sensing, let's say this is a sensing type in the dominant, it'll have the intuition type in the inferior because it maintains the bipolarity, the
balance.
Yes, the irrational functions. And so if you have that, if the sensing is there in the dominant, what's going to be on the arms? What functions?
Yes, thinking and
feeling.
And feeling,
yes.
The rational functions. And so you see, that's part of the thing here is that's why you see the sensing and intuition, and then you see the opposite, you know, the orientation, the introverted feeling and introverted thinking under the irrational, I kind of call them temperaments, under the irrational column here, up here.
So how would you write those letters? That's what I always struggle with, is how you write the letters, in what order and how they go.
Oh, you mean like
the four like, letters?
You mean like?
Okay, well, it all depends on the first and the second. Once you have the first and the second, the others will just follow.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get into that. I'm trying not to get too much. See, the purpose of this is just to identify the dominant and auxiliary functions, because that's what's in the Myers-Briggs assessment. And that's what it is called personality, you know, the personality type. I call it the personality type.
Yeah.
And I call the full thing the psychological types, although I notice other people don't do it that way. But just to emphasize that the dominant and the expressed, these are the ones that are the most developed functions are going to be more expressed. And so you'll be able to see those characteristics. Okay? So don't worry about all of the theory of Jungian types. This is simply to give you a guide to identify, you know, like which are the two relevant function attitudes, you know, the most likely function attitudes to be considering. And then you're looking for that. And then it's a matter of thinking, like the last step, once you've kind of got those two, okay, those two look like they're operating and the handwriting or something, they're expressed. Then you consider what's dominant and what's contra-dominant. Okay?
Yeah.
And of course, then it falls into place. The dominant one goes into the first and the contra-dominant goes into the second. So just to let you know, you don't try to remember all of this, especially if you're new, but how these things spread out, because you asked that question. So the straight line, you're going to have this cross is set up to keep the once you've identified that there's an irrational function at the top, for example, then the other opposite irrational function will be at the bottom. And likewise, there'll be a rational function on the arm as the second auxiliary, and its opposite rational function will be at the other end. That's how easy it is. Once you've gotten these two, and there's kind of this thing about it'll be opposite in orientation. Of course, the inferior function may not even be developed, and you won't be identifying too much. Typically, you move into thinking about those things as the person matures, past their midlife crisis, and they've started working with other, with developing these other aspects of themselves. If they're a thriving human being. Okay, let me see here. I think this last piece is kind of a little bit cutesy. It's just a description. Remember, you're looking at the irrational and irrational function together. So it puts those two together and kind of gives you a description. I found that somewhere. I should probably find out where I found it and put its source. but but it's kind of, like if you're still kind of wondering and you're thinking, oh, do these two, or is it these two or these two? This can maybe give you a hint. Okay. And this is just a guide. Okay. And which means that practice it, and we'll practice, and we can and with the practice it'll start making sense. You'll start seeing how useful it is. Okay. Any questions about this? This is you guys are really attentive here on this. But really, it doesn't, like you can understand it. You can say, okay, I know what he's talking about, but it won't really fit until you try it out on your friends and family and people that you know, and you start trying to see, and the handwriting with people that you know, and you start seeing how this decision process helps you to get to that conclusion, of which is the dominant and the auxiliary. Okay. Which brings us to the second piece. I wanted to, let me just, okay, we're good. I want to spend really the rest of the time. I'm gonna just show you. Okay, you can take a look at this assessment thing, but all it is I just give you something to doodle on here. And you can make, to be putting your ideas on. Oh, this is what I want to point out. There's a reason to have this. If you notice how I've arranged, see the P at the top and the J at the bottom, extroverted on the right and introverted on the other side. Then look here, see, look at these function attitudes. Do you notice? These are the perceiving function attitudes.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I just think this is so cute. And these are the judging function attitudes. And it helps you kind of identify, okay, these are the extroverted judging and these are the introverted judging. Okay? So it's sort of like in one little place, helps you to be thinking about those, especially after you get an idea of the characteristics. And all you're having to do is, out of these 8, you're putting one here and one here. But remember, first it's going to be perceiving or judging. So then it's going to be just out of the 4 or the 4. So this is just like a little summary to help you be doodling out. And we'll talk about this later. Oh, yes, thank you very much. Okay, Jen, are you still there? I wanted to show, and I'll be handing this out to you next month, but I want to show you, hold on here. I want to show you how relevant this is. Why learning these function attitudes, okay? So Jen's with the classic typology and the characterology and the handwriting, they put it in like a little differently. This is an example, the IST in the parentheses, where you can see to the right the first or dominant position and the second auxiliary position for what this says, the IST.
Yeah.
But the Myers-Briggs calls it ISTJ. Okay. And the thing is, the Myers-Briggs keeps the like they keep the rational function in the 3rd position, whether it's dominant or not dominant. And they keep the irrational function in the 2nd position. Look, don't worry about this. I'm just pointing this out, that this is why I have you learn function attitudes. Okay? The function attitude tells you exactly what it is. And then we can translate it to one or the other depending on who you're talking to. Do you see what I'm saying? And I just wanted to show you the importance of, well, the value is that there's these different schools of Jungian types. And so we want to be able to talk to anybody. So these function attitudes will give us, learning the function attitudes first, or primarily, even if we will be able to translate that much more easily into either of these ways of describing it. Okay, I just wanted to show you that, not to add too much, but to get you excited about how, how you're learning the most simplest and direct way, and it'll help you speak several languages, since we're in the UK and it's I'm aware there are a lot of different languages in the UK. So the agenda is, you can look over that. That's what I'm wanting to get to. But what I want to, let me just open it because I want to get to that right now. Our next theme is, and you can look at it. I'm going to stop sharing here and open up. So, oh, hey, Valerie, I'll make sure you get the handouts. Okay. So what I wanted to kind of do for the next, well, as much time as we have. Oh my gosh, I talk a lot. First, are there any questions about what I went over? Okay. Okay. Practice. So next, you know, and it was already brought out, there are different ways, people have learned different ways about working with the Jungian types. So I wanted to open it up for us to just talk about that and get an idea of how we eat, you know, how you, what you know about it, what you don't know about it, even popular, you know, there's like a bunch of stuff on the internet that you can just do for free, stuff like that. Or you can look up the 16 personality types and read the characteristics and say, oh, that sounds like me. all of it is done. You know? So who would like to share your, you know, like, if you've taken the Myers-Briggs test, if you've taken a test, if you know your personality type, if you've learned it in the handwriting, you know how to identify type in the handwriting?
Well, yeah, I can tell you if you want.
Yeah.
Yes, I've studied it with handwriting, and here in France we have different ways to do it. So we have the Anya Teilhard's way, and I have some books about this, the way she does it. And then we have other graphologists who have a different approach to this.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's very complicated. I mean, I don't know if I can explain it exactly.
I know,
but
I'm the more I get into it, it's like,
yeah,
oh my God.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but it's based on first you decide whether it is introverted or extroverted in dominant from the stroke only based on the stroke, and which is difficult to assess. So I don't know, you know. So we have different approaches, and I use it sometimes, but I'm not an expert on it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to look. I've got a couple of tricks when we're working with the handwriting, and we'll look at that next month. And there's not, how do I put this? There's not a right and wrong way. Yeah, there's different ways.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah,
that's it. But I have never taken the I don't know about the MBIT test or that. I've only studied it in relation with the handwriting.
That's very interesting. It'll be interesting to look at does the function attitude. See, let me just point out the reason the function attitude, the reason I focus on function attitude rather than introverted, extroverted, and even judging and perceiving. Okay, judging and perceiving is related to a function attitude. See, it's the extroverted rational or extroverted irrational function.
So
See,
can I?
Yeah,
Sorry,
no, go ahead.
sorry, Victor. Can I ask? At what point is the J or P decided? Because you can have something like ISTJ, for instance, and sensing would normally come under P, perceiving. So how do you decide which that end letter
Okay.
is? At what point? How does that fit in?
Carol Shumate's method is you decide first.
Right.
See, now you
Which
have
means
to
that you then can't have sensing as the first dominant.
No, it's about the extroverted irrational function. P is the extroverted irrational function, which sensing it's going to be it's about that the irrational function in the first or second position is extroverted. That's what P means. Okay. It doesn't mean that it's S, or it doesn't mean that it's N. It means that the S or N, whichever one it is extroverted. It doesn't mean it's dominant. It means it's extroverted in position 2 or 1. That's what the P means. Okay. Now, this is the thing. Like I learned it, the Myers-Briggs stuff, introverted, extroverted, and then you went through each of them, each of the binaries. The thing is that the I or E at the beginning and the J or P at the end, they don't exist by themselves. They're not something.
No,
they're just for like they're pointers. They're what in the test are called factors. They're just a score that's, you know, like they're a psychometric measurement that has nothing to do with anything other than, oh, this person has these preferences, for example, and they lean this way. They have a higher score on their test where they're saying, do you prefer this or this? Do you prefer this or this? And then it's this, and that's a factor. And so they identify, okay, you have these characteristics of being extroverted. But in Carl Jung's theory and in the theory of these types, it's the function that matters. There's only 4 functions. There's not an introverted trait.
No.
We're not talking about traits here. They're functions. Yeah. And so that I or E, that means that it's the orientation of the function in the dominant position.
Yeah.
You see?
It's how you use the functions, isn't it? It's how you use them.
And then they change in that case. Well,
it depends on developmental, on how much you've developed your tertiary, you know. See, so that keeps it really simple to stay focused on what is the theory is about these 4 functions and their orientation, and the tests, the Myers-Briggs test, and I mean, I see it. I mean, I work with it. It's really helped me to recognize that no, there isn't a introverted function, an introversion or an extroversion function, you know, like that's something. No, that's an orientation that relates to something.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you keep, that's why this way of learning it, using those symbols of the 4 functions and identifying the orientation related to that function, it will help help you learn the other pieces, because it becomes really complicated trying to figure out a 65-year-old, very mature and developed, individuated person who may even have their inferior function worked out, you know, quite developed.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be, you're going to be seeing this in their handwriting.
Mm. Mm.
No. That feels like enough for me. But,
Yeah, that was great. Wow.
So maybe a raise of hands. I mean, who all is just totally new? Never heard of this before. Okay. I didn't think so.
I've heard of it. I've seen Myers-Briggs stuff about 40 years ago, so I understand every individual word you say, but the way you link them together, I've forgotten completely what it's all about. So
Okay.
I know the vocabulary, but I've forgotten all the facts.
Well, it's going to be much easier than for you than for those that remember all of that. Better to have forgotten it. Yeah. Who else is totally new to this? No. you see, you can't. It's too popular. It's just too popular. You know, it's the most misunderstood assessment, I think, in the world. You know, I guess that's what happens to popularity.
I've used MBTI quite often in my reports, but never really understood what I was doing. They somehow work. As I said, I've never understood the order of the letters, and I've never understood how the P and the J actually worked. So I've kind of always picked from a list of the P's and the J's things and then taken it from there. But yes.
You're not the only one. I've done it like that too. It took me a long time. Yeah. Bless those people that got my reports. But yeah, that kind of works for with younger, less individuated people. It becomes more difficult, because there's not really a recognition of the tertiary function in the Myers-Briggs categories. See, so it's kind of why I think the clinicians don't necessarily use it. But here we can use that assessment as a starting point. The handwriting actually gives us more information, but that then means that it's more complicated to tease it out, because which one's dominant, or which one's even secondary and tertiary. That's usually the one that gets me, if they're both pretty well developed. You see that in the handwriting, because it's going to be angular and rounded. And when you got that mix of angular and rounded, you're trying to figure out, well, is this thinking or feeling? Which one are they leaning more towards? Which one goes in the second position? So having several different ways to make that decision. That's why just having these characteristics, if you know the person, if you're in front of them as a therapist, or just you're interacting with them, you can see them, and that can give you cues that will help you with and then the handwriting will give you a deeper a deeper insight into these going on. Okay.
I was introduced to MBTI by going on a retreat to study Jung's shadow. So I came at this, I'd forgotten all this now because I have worked with it for quite some time.
Yeah.
But I came to it by looking for the shadow. So you're looking with the handwriting, it's looking to what's missing.
Yes.
What's not developed, what's,
right. What's not. Yes.
So I'd completely forgotten all about that.
That's amazing. Yeah, because the personality is the part that you've kind of brought into your consciousness. You've developed it.
Yes. Yes.
And those aspects that are still unconscious are going to be the shadow. Let me see. The Shumate, as the clinician, this book, Carol Shumate, she works with I guess they call it the 8-function model, and they're working with the archetypes and kind of the anti-personality that's the unconscious mirror of the of the personality type, if you will, of the See, so there's a lot there's a lot of different things jumping off from that, but that's what the clinical work is about, recognizing.
Has anyone, oops, have I got myself?
No, go ahead.
Yes. Has anybody come across Benziger's work?
Who?
Benziger, Benziger.
No.
She basically uses the 4 functions, but in a slightly different way. And it's well worth studying some of her stuff on it. It's really fascinating. But one of her key things that she says is, for instance, when we're looking at signature and body of text, and if you're doing the signature version of you for any length of time, it's tiring trying to portray something that you're actually not, and how that then affects you clinically and health-wise. And I did quite a lot of stuff with her. But it's really, really good. So Benziger. I think it's Catherine Benziger, I think her name is.
We'll have to have a collection of titles.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. But that's kind of the thing. You can be using this clinically, like what you're talking about. That's usually where the direction it goes is working with the shadow side or the undeveloped. And you can be working with it with the handwriting, and that's what Jen's was doing actually with the with Carl Jung's handwriting and his inner circle, which is very I just got the book. I can't wait to jump into it.
I must admit, I do use a rather good Jungian set of tarot cards.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh, that's really cool. I'd like to see that. I'd love to see those.
Lorraine actually introduced me to the man.
Oh, right.
I'd be curious to see that.
Hold on 2 seconds, I'll go and get them.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Yeah. at Pacifica, where Carol Shumate teaches, I knew this guy in Asheville that he was studying the Jungian astrology there. So which really does relate to the archetypes and stuff like that. I mean, this is what I mean. It's like you have this little bit of the type is like a little area, and then the whole Jungian community is so diverse. It really is. It's amazing when you start realizing how much interest there is in just the archetypes and the shadow work, you know.
I'm just curious because this sounds stereotypical, because I've read studies that suggest that types like, you know, the ISTJ or the ISTP are more common in the UK, you know, while we have more of the ESTJs, you know, prevalent in the United States. I'm just wondering what people would say about that here, because we have a lot of British folks here.
Well, we can be extroverted.
Yes, yes. I just wondered if that would be an interesting study.
It would,
of
actually.
course.
Anyway, there it is.
Oh, that I don't think I've seen that. Wow.
They were designed by a guy called Nick Hobson.
Oh, right.
Who's in Bristol.
Yeah.
Oh, right, is he?
I don't think you can get hold of this easily now, to be honest. But they are a brilliant Jungian version of the tarot cards. So, you know, the Tower,
right,
and the Moon, peace, destruction, libido. All of that is there. So. So yes.
Well, I'm not kidding. I think a list of books, of interesting books to share.
Yeah.
Really
Yes. Yeah.
good. Yeah, because those kind of things really are useful, I think, with the archetypes and the shadow work, because of that imagery. You know, it's almost like to stimulate a response, an emotional response from seeing those images.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but I've got to go. I've just had something downloaded which I've got to use instantly. So
no problem. Was there anyone else wanted to comment or had something they would like to share? You doing okay, Megan?
Yeah, I'm going to read your papers after. I haven't read through them yet.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, you know, like, feel free to email me, you know, like if you're feeling stuck on it, or you just have a question to help you understand it.
It'll do me good to oil the works, and then I think I'll
I understand it. Like I said, it's the practice of it. So yeah,
I look forward to reading it when I've had my tea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. And we'll take that same thing, and like when we meet again the second Thursday in July, we'll go over that, saying what I'd like to do is maybe for us to identify celebrities that we know and see if we can guess their type using that, you know. And then we'll take that, and what'll be cool is then to move into, if we can get their handwriting, you know, then be looking at how move into the handwriting part of the
that would be really good.
That'd be interesting.
But learning this first before we dive into the handwriting, it's sort of like you think of the person more than just the bits and pieces, or just, you know, like at least it helped me to not forget, okay, there's a person and I'm thinking about how that person is, even when I'm looking at the handwriting. So that's the you know, the thing about working with this presentation and kind of the clinical approach first.
Thank you so much, Victor. This was really informative and
good.
Thank you.
Very
Victor,
good.
this is Debbie. I have a question.
Debbie. Okay, good.
Two things. First, are we having anything next Thursday? with you?
I don't think so. It's the second Thursday.
And the 4th.
And the 4th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And remember, the third Thursday is the book club.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to say, Father Whirling always said that in the United States, we have actually a split personality, that the Puritan emphasis is introverted, but the rest is extroverted.
So I have access to the most current MBTI assessment that's called the Global Assessment, and they have basically taking data from people in countries pretty much all around the world and correlated it. So these questions, we can kind of see from results from that, there's probably some information that would be helpful to answer, you know, that curious question if what are the, if there's, because what happens is it will show if the population in a certain country that has taken these tests, and when they put them together, are they slightly stronger in one direction or another on these scales? See, and then that's when they put it together so that there's a the single test can be accurate for a larger population, not just high school students in the US, which used to be the main population of MBTI.
Well, just to piggyback on that, kind of for our...
I'll say goodbye.
See ya. Thanks, Megan.
Just to clarify about that, you know, Father Whirling was into the animals, and for our British attendees today, he said that he always thought the English were turtles. Which isn't the introvert and the melancholic, I mean the phlegmatic introvert, and that by contrast, that the Russians were elephants.
Okay. Interesting. I want to show you something really quick. You made me think of, Debbie. Okay. Regard to the what's that called? The temperaments. Okay. So I believe that the 4 temperaments under the perceiving type are classic. I call them the dynamic temperaments. And they're closely associated to the classic temperaments, and I'll show you. The sensing, extroverted sensing, is the caloric. Okay. Extroverted intuition is the sanguine. They go off. The introverted thinking is the melancholic. You know, and now this is the thing. This is the one that bothered me the most, was the introverted feeling. But I believe that the introverted feeling is this more modern term that reflects a more ancient understanding of the temperaments, called the supine. The supine temperament is more it is more of the introverted piece, whereas the phlegmatic, see, like usually they put the phlegmatic there. But the supine is actually the most, the most extreme along this dimension. And the phlegmatic has to do with a balance in all of the tempers. So they would be in the middle. The phlegmatic would be in the middle. But there's a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I just call these the dynamic temperaments that are these four, and I call the four under the judging the phlegmatic temperaments, because they're more, well, if you look at the handwriting, this is why there's sort of a the way that they appear is more balanced. Whereas the P type is kind of all over the place. They're dynamic. There we go. Dynamic. And anyway,
okay,
Debbie, I thought of that. I'd been thinking about what you were saying, because I mean, Father Whirling, I like his I followed him quite a bit, followed his work, and he was into these temperaments. It's really, and it shows up in the handwriting. But anyway, that's
yeah,
kind of the reason I like to work with the temperaments a little bit, is it helps us historically, gives us a common language anyway.
Great.
Something. I didn't mean that's for you, Debbie.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, Victor. That was really lovely. It was really good. Very interesting.
Good.
But
so
I do need to go now.
Oh yeah, we'll close up here. And thanks for coming, Valerie. Is there any questions you have, or you can email me? I'll send you the forms.
Thank you.
The documents, and feel free to, as you have questions with it.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch the video for last week and this one, or the first video and this one.
Yeah, this one, I didn't go over the forms until like after the end of the hour.
Okay.
So yeah, the beginning is kind of exciting, but you can look at that after we cover the rest of everything.
Well, I walk around dazed and confused anyway, so
yeah, well, welcome. We're all here. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye then.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.